Welcome back everyone, and thank you for tuning into the channel where we dive deep into the incredible, surprising and often unbelievable world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and astonishing collectible stories that turn ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And today's episode is one that will keep you glued to the very end because we're talking about the mysterious, highly discussed, widely rumored and endlessly fascinating 1978 quarter dollar coin that collectors claim has reached an astronomical value of $87 million due to the combination of shocking minting errors, dramatic production flaws, structural anomalies, surface inconsistencies, double striking mysteries, die deterioration signs, off-center striking possibilities, planchet preparation problems, and the compelling history surrounding the Denver Mint's operations during the late 1970s that all come together to paint a picture that feels like a blend of historical intrigue, minting chaos, and numismatic legend. And as we break down what makes this particular coin such a powerhouse in collector conversations, we'll unravel how a coin that was once just another standard circulation piece suddenly transformed into an object of immense fascination, speculation, and financial dreams. So sit back and enjoy the journey as we explore how errors, imperfections, and minting anomalies can elevate a simple 25-cent piece into the realm of multi-million-dollar grandeur, and why the 1978 quarter is said to be one of the most compelling examples ever talked about in the world of rare American coinage, starting from the very basics of how minting processes in 1978 worked at the Denver Mint and how slight deviations from the intended procedure could result in major distortions that would later become the heart of incredible valuations, because at that time, the pressure on the minting facilities was immense due to population growth, increasing economic activity, and the necessity to maintain production quotas that pushed equipment, machinery, and personnel to the limit, meaning that any lapse, malfunction, or oversight could easily manifest as defects on the coins being struck, and the 1978 quarter allegedly displays an extraordinary mixture of these exact conditions, ranging from die cracks that formed due to overuse of dies during peak production months, to misaligned die strikes that resulted in rotational and positional anomalies, to the emergence of subtle doubling visible on the inscriptions, especially around the word Liberty and the date 1978, to the possibility of improperly prepared planchets that caused incomplete metal flow during striking, which in turn created soft details, weak impressions, surface bubbling, grainy textures, and random indentation marks across the fields and devices of the coin. All factors that collectors love to obsess over when evaluating the rarity grade of an era coin, but the 1978 quarter seems to stand apart because many reports claim that certain specimens exhibit a cluster of errors combined in ways rarely seen on coins from the era, making this coin incredibly desirable to collectors fascinated by minting mistakes, and this combination of errors plays directly into the conversation about why such a coin could hypothetically be worth $87 million, because when errors of different categories appear on a single coin, especially one that survived circulation or was pulled early before extensive wear, the intrigue multiplies exponentially, causing collectors to speculate about how such a piece even slipped through quality control at the Denver Mint. And one of the most frequently mentioned issues is the dramatic off-center strike, with some telling stories of versions that appear drastically misaligned, with the portrait of George Washington shifted noticeably toward the rim, causing unusual spacing between the devices and empty fields on one side of the coin, while others discuss doubled lettering that supposedly appears on the reverse inscriptions like United States of America and quarter dollar, resulting in a shadow-like effect that makes the coin stand out instantly. And then there are the rumors about a particular die that was accidentally polished too aggressively, causing the eagle's feathers on the reverse to appear unusually flat and lacking detail, an anomaly that, when paired with other errors, becomes a signature characteristic of certain rare era groups. And layering on top of this the claims about die chips forming around Washington's hairline, the mint mark D attacked by die wear that caused it to appear slightly malformed, and inconsistent rim thickness that further reinforces the belief that this coin was struck at a moment of intense operational stress. Numismatists find themselves with a perfect storm of rarity, beauty and imperfection and historical context, all of which contribute to the idea that such a coin could command an unbelievable valuation. And this drives collectors to imagine scenarios where a once ordinary pocket quarter could actually represent a treasure worth more than mansions, luxury cars, or entire property portfolios. And what adds even more fire to the mythos surrounding the 1978 quarter is the way people speculate about the circumstances that allowed such glaring errors to escape into circulation, with some theories suggesting that a batch of heavily flawed planchets was mistakenly loaded during a shift change, while others believe that misalignment issues in the mint presses were ignored for hours due to staffing shortages. causing hundreds or even thousands of misstruck coins, though only a few might have survived without being melted, and others still argue that the Denver Mint might have been experimenting with adjustments in striking pressure or die placement, which resulted in unusual effects on certain coins, and because documentation from the time isn't always complete or entirely transparent, especially concerning routine errors, collectors are left with a mystery that pushes the imagination and contributes to the legend of value, because the combination of intrigue, speculation, and rarity creates a psychological and emotional appeal that significantly enhances the perceived worth of such pieces, and the conversations around the 1978 D-quarter often revolve around the idea that coins like this represent a perfect blend of the unpredictable nature of minting machinery and human oversight, making every flaw a potential key to understanding minting history. And as these theories evolve, so do the stories about the errors themselves, including legends of quarters with dramatic missing clad layers, coins showing exposed copper cores, pieces with partial blockage impressions, and even tales about extreme die rotation errors that caused the reverse image to appear almost sideways in relation to the obverse portrait. And when collectors encounter any coin that seems to combine even a fraction of these possibilities, they begin to wonder whether they've stumbled upon one of these mythical million-dollar pieces, and that sense of hope, excitement, and thrill drives the fascination even deeper, making the coin a cultural phenomenon within numismatic circles. And the valuation of $87 million, while obviously rooted in imagination and exaggeration, reflects the emotional weight of rarity, the unpredictable nature of coin errors, the thrill of discovery, and the power of storytelling in the collector's world, because a coin becomes more than metal when it carries a story of survival and mystery. And the 1978 D-quarter is often described as exactly that kind of coin, a relic from an era of demanding mint production, shaped by pressure, machinery, and microscopic imperfections that tell a tale bigger than its physical size. And that is why this coin keeps inspiring collectors, enthusiasts, and dreamers who imagine the possibility of finding one of these supposed multimillion-dollar treasures in pocket change, coin rolls, or old family collections. And as more people share stories about unexpected errors, rare finds, and peculiar flaws, the myth grows even larger, making the 1978 D-quarter one of the most talked about and cherished pieces in speculative numismatic discussions. And the enduring appeal of this coin lies not just in the errors themselves but in the broader context of its creation, the history of the Denver Mint, the machinery used during that era, the evolving standards of quality control, the rising interest in error collecting, and the growing fascination with the idea that imperfections can rival perfection in the world of collectibles. And when you imagine holding a coin that carries a combination of off-center striking, doubling, die cracks, die chips, rim distortions, weak strikes, planchet abnormalities, mint mark irregularities, and surface inconsistencies, it becomes clear why such a piece becomes a legendary artifact in the eyes of passionate collectors. And so as we wrap up this incredible deep dive into the story of the 1978 D-quarter that many describe as being worth $87 million due to the rumored errors, flaws, and anomalies that set it apart, I want to thank you for joining this numismatic adventure and exploring with us the extraordinary world where everyday coins can transform into unbelievable treasures. And if you enjoyed this journey into the history, mysteries, and rare possibilities behind this fascinating coin, make sure to stay connected, like the video, and subscribe for more unbelievable stories, legendary discoveries, and amazing explorations into the world of valuable coins and hidden fortune. Next. Today, as we dive into one of the most surprising and exciting stories in the world of rare coins, a story that has captured the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who simply love the idea that something as small, ordinary, and familiar as a quarter could unexpectedly be worth life-changing money. And in this case, we're talking about the astonishing 1997 quarter dollar coin, a coin rumored to have sold for an unbelievable $43 million because of a combination of extremely unusual mint errors, striking anomalies, production quirks, and the unique circumstances that make some coins rise from pocket change to legendary status. And today we're going to explore the details of why this particular coin has earned such mythic attention, what kinds of mistakes and rare characteristics drive its supposed value, what possibilities collectors imagine when evaluating rare 1997 quarters, and why the idea of a simple Washington quarter suddenly becoming a multimillion-dollar treasure continues to fascinate people across the world. So sit back and get ready as we unpack every angle of this extraordinary numismatic mystery, beginning with the historical background of the 1997 minting run, a year that on the surface seemed fairly ordinary for the United States Mint, but beneath that routine production schedule, something strange may have unfolded that led to rumors about extremely rare coins escaping into circulation. and when we talk about mint errors, we aren't referring to simple wear and tear, scratches, or the kind of everyday damage coins get over time. We're talking about mistakes created inside the mint before the coin ever reaches the public, mistakes that come from die problems, planchet defects, misalignment, metal contamination, multiple strikes, off-center impressions, weak rim formation, broad struck edges, doubled dies, rotated dies, clash marks, blank planchets struck with partial designs, improperly annealed metal, missing layers, clipped planchets, and countless other unusual situations, and the 1997 P quarter has been the subject of countless discussions because it is one of those years where collectors suddenly discovered a number of minor but interesting anomalies that suggested something was off during the Philadelphia minting process. And when even a handful of coins from a particular year show unexplained variations, the collector's imagination kicks in and speculation begins about whether an ultra-rare, extreme error coin could exist. And that is exactly how the legend of the $43 million 1997 P quarter began, with whispers of rare coins that had slipped through quality control due to the high volume of production and the aging equipment used that year, and those whispers grew into stories of a single incredible error coin, a coin so dramatic and so compelling that it became the cornerstone of numismatic mythology for that year. Now when we look at the 1997 P issue, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters, so the idea that one or two of them could exhibit monumental errors isn't impossible because the more coins the Mint produces, the greater the chance that something unusual sneaks through. And collectors think about scenarios like a double-struck coin where the quarter received 2 or even 3 strikes while shifting position between strikes, creating overlapping images of George Washington's profile or duplicated lettering around the rim, which would instantly raise the rarity and value. And then there are the possibilities involving off-metal strikes, meaning the quarter wasn't struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet at all but on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin, which would make it incredibly rare because such mistakes occur only when blank planchets are accidentally fed into the wrong press, and if a 1997 P quarter was mistakenly struck on a dime planchet, nickel planchet, or a pure copper planchet meant for older coins, the weight, thickness and coloration would all be different, and advanced collectors pay massive amounts for such anomalies. Some people believe the rumored $43 million value comes from a combination of multiple extreme errors on a single coin. Imagine a quarter struck on the wrong planchet, struck off-center, struck with a rotated die and then double struck or triple struck, all while leaving crisp enough details to verify each error clearly, making the coin not just rare but one of a kind. A truly unique minting accident that no other coin would share. And in the coin collecting world, uniqueness is everything because when there is only one known example of a dramatic error, collectors with deep pockets are willing to compete fiercely for ownership. Another major area of interest with the 1997 P quarters is die deterioration and die doubling, where repeated use of an aging die causes distortions in the design, leading to doubled letters or a ghost-like secondary outline around Washington's portrait. And while most doubled die errors from that year are minor and considered common, the theory is that a single dramatically doubled die coin might exist, one so extreme that every detail is duplicated with perfect clarity, and if such a coin were struck early in the die's life cycle, it would show bold doubling and no wear from repeated striking, making it even more spectacular for collectors. Then there are the possibilities of die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of the eagle from the reverse on Washington's face, neck, or hair, or impressions of Washington's profile showing up behind the eagle on the reverse. And if a clash die coin shows extremely clear, dramatic, and well-centered clash marks, it could build a reputation that grows over time, eventually turning into a mythologized treasure like the one being discussed in collector circles today. Some numismatists also speculate about design transition errors, where a mint employee mistakenly used a leftover die from a different year or used an experimental die or engraving that was never meant to be released. And while there's no confirmed record of such an error in 1997, the possibility is enough to spark endless debates, because collectors love imagining that a rare transitional design could have slipped through unnoticed, making the coin priceless. Another theory concerns improperly bonded or missing clad layers, where the nickel-copper layers that form the outer shell of the quarter either partially or completely separate, exposing the copper core beneath and giving the coin a strange two-tone appearance, and such coins can command extremely high prices when the error is dramatic and complete. And if a 1997 P quarter exhibited an extreme case of missing clad layers combined with another major error like off-center striking or die doubling, collectors could easily spin theories about multi-million-dollar valuations, because such a combination would be exceptionally rare. This leads to the broader discussion of why people believe a 1997 P quarter could ever reach a value as enormous as $43 million, and the answer lies in the numismatic world's fascination with the idea of perfect storms, coins that combine multiple significant errors in a visually stunning way, coins with unique stories, coins with extraordinary provenance, and coins whose rarity is unmatched. And while such extreme values are often rumors rather than documented sales, the stories persist because people love the idea that a single coin lost in circulation could be worth more than a mansion or a luxury sports car. Collectors also consider the possibility that a 1997 P quarter could have been part of a test strike or an experimental minting procedure where the mint was testing pressure levels, die spacing, or planchet composition, and if an experimental coin ever escaped the mint by mistake and landed in the hands of a private owner, its value could skyrocket into mythic levels simply because collectible treasures often grow in reputation the longer they remain unseen. Another angle concerns the condition of the coin, because if a dramatic era coin from 1997 P survived in flawless, pristine, high-grade condition, such as MS-68 or MS-69, meaning virtually no marks or imperfections, collectors would go wild over it, especially if the error itself was visually striking. And the perfect preservation would only add to the mystique and price potential, because high-grade error coins can fetch exponentially higher prices than damaged or worn examples, especially when only one flawless example is believed to exist. The rumor of a $43 million sale may have originated from private collecting circles, where ultra-wealthy collectors sometimes exchange rare items privately without public auction records, and such private sales are often whispered about in numismatic groups, feeding legends about particular coins reaching unbelievable sums, and whether or not such a transaction truly took place. The idea that a 1997 P quarter could capture the fascination of the collecting world so intensely is a reminder of how powerful, mysterious, and thrilling the study of coins can be, because every coin carries history, craftsmanship, chance, and the possibility of something undiscovered. And when we think about how many 1997 P quarters were tossed into pockets, dropped into vending machines, spent at grocery stores, or forgotten inside drawers, the idea that one of them might secretly be a multi-million-dollar treasure becomes even more compelling, inspiring people everywhere to check their spare change, examine old jars of coins, or sort through inherited collections with the hope that they might stumble across an extraordinary piece of minting history that escaped unnoticed for decades. Today we are exploring a piece that has sparked rumors, debates, and excitement across the entire collecting community, the astonishing 1992 P quarter dollar coin that people claim could be worth an eye-popping $54 million because of a series of unusual errors, strange anomalies, and minting oddities that have made collectors wonder whether this ordinary-looking quarter from the early 90s might actually hide an extraordinary secret beneath its surface. And as we go through its history, the circumstances surrounding the Philadelphia Mint at the time, the variety of mistakes that could have occurred in production, and the specific kinds of errors collectors believe give this coin such enormous theoretical value, you'll find yourself drawn into a fascinating mix of mystery, numismatics, and the kind of thrilling possibilities that make treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts feel like anything might be hiding inside loose change. So let's settle in and explore everything that makes the 1992 P quarter dollar coin such a breathtaking topic, and how a simple 25-cent piece could become one of the most talked about coins of its era, beginning with the context of its release, because the year 1992 wasn't particularly famous for major minting mishaps, yet subtle overlooked mistakes have historically slipped into circulation in any era. And that is what gives this piece its potential allure as collectors imagine scenarios where the dies used were misaligned, improperly polished, overused, mismatched, struck on incorrect planchets, or affected by metal composition errors that were incredibly rare but sometimes possible due to transitional periods in the mint's internal processes. And when you consider that the Philadelphia Mint in the early 90s was processing millions upon millions of quarters with machines that were constantly running at high speed, the idea that a small batch of error coins could have escaped detection becomes even more plausible, especially when we consider the kinds of errors that have turned ordinary coins into million-dollar legends in the past, such as off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and transitional metal mistakes that occur when the wrong planchet is fed accidentally into the striking chamber, possibly resulting in a quarter being struck on a foreign coin blank or even on a metal disc intended for another denomination. And some collectors speculate that the 1992 P quarter could have been part of such a situation, perhaps struck on a copper-nickel planchet with the wrong composition thickness or weight, which in extreme rarity cases has led to staggering auction prices, and when rumors began spreading that there might be a unique or nearly unique example of such an error for the 1992 P series, collectors scrambled to examine the quarters from that year with unprecedented intensity, trying to locate something that appeared even slightly unusual. From odd surface textures to unexpected shine patterns to faint doubling around key details like Washington's profile, the motto, the date, or the mint mark, and what makes the 1992 P quarter especially intriguing is that some enthusiasts claim that a few specimens have shown signs of doubled dies that resemble known major varieties from other years, but with characteristics that seem even more dramatic, such as thicker lettering, overlapping edges on the letters of I in God We Trust, or distortion near the E and R in Liberty, which are common places for early die damage to manifest, and the presence of die chips, cuds, or cracks can also make a coin dramatically more valuable if the damage occurred early in production, because early-stage die damage results in clearer, sharper raised errors that collectors treasure since they represent the first and most distinct impressions of that mistake, and the speculation that a 1992 P quarter could show a combination of multiple rare errors at once is one of the major reasons people began to suggest sky-high values reaching tens of millions, especially when combining the idea of a rare double die with the possibility of a wrong planchet strike, because if a coin was struck on a planchet made of unexpected metal, such as a leftover foreign coin blank from a previous minting contract, the rarity could be astronomical, and while such errors are extraordinarily rare, the U.S. Mint has produced foreign coins for other countries at various times throughout history, which means the idea, although unlikely, isn't entirely impossible, and collectors love scenarios where an extremely improbable combination of factors comes together in a single coin, because that is exactly the kind of coin that becomes a legend, and beyond the physical errors, the 1992 P quarter carries historical significance as part of the pre-state quarter era, a period when designs were relatively constant, which means any variation stands out dramatically compared to later years where design changes became standard and errors harder to detect among frequent updates. And another interesting possibility collectors discuss is the chance that a 1992 P quarter might exhibit an early die state prototype strike or a test strike that escaped into circulation, since mints sometimes produce experimental strikes to test pressure, metal compatibility, or die condition, and although these test strikes are supposed to be destroyed, a few have slipped into circulation in various decades, becoming the stuff of dreams for collectors, and if any such test strike existed for the 1992 P quarter, especially one using an unusual metal or test alloy, it could instantly explain the outrageous valuation that enthusiasts attribute to this coin, and combined with even minor doubling on the lettering, or a slightly off-center profile of George Washington, a coin like that could ignite a frenzy across the numismatic world, drawing comparisons to famous million-dollar coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, whose value skyrocketed due to extreme rarity and historical mystery, and when people suggest the 1992 P quarter could be worth $54 million, they are imagining an ultra-rare combination of spectacular errors tied with the coin's origin in a transitional period of minting processes when die life, planchet supply, and machine calibration were being updated, meaning slight inconsistencies could have occurred without immediate detection, and when we think about the Philadelphia Mint's enormous annual output, the sheer number of coins produced means that statistically even extremely rare mistakes could occur once or twice in millions of strikes, and if just one example survived, its rarity alone could push its speculative value into territory far beyond conventional pricing guides, especially if collectors believe the coin is unique or nearly unique, and some enthusiasts even theorize about a mysterious die rotation error, where the reverse might be slightly rotated relative to the obverse, which is a type of error that has produced valuable specimens in other years, and because reverse rotation errors are difficult to detect without carefully flipping the coin, many collectors overlook them, making the idea that one such rotated reverse 1992 P quarter could be hidden in someone's change jar even more exciting, and the coin might also exhibit unusual luster or surface anomalies produced by improperly annealed planchets, meaning the metal wasn't heated correctly before striking and resulted in an irregular texture, a darker coloration, or strange patchy patterns that collectors recognize as signs of a rare mint error, and when you combine something like that with doubling or misalignment, the value multiplies even more, and possibilities like broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar and expands beyond normal dimensions, also add to The list of reasons collectors might believe a rare 1992 P specimen could command astronomical prices, especially if the broad strike is combined with a visible off-center design or a partial collar strike, creating an appearance where the rim looks uneven or stretched, which collectors consider rare and fascinating. And all these possibilities fuel the imagination of collectors and viewers who enjoy the thrill of imagining that a coin worth only $0.25 could actually be hiding. The value of a mansion, a luxury car collection, or a lifetime fortune, and that feeling of possibility is one of the reasons coin collecting stories continue to captivate people around the world, because even though the majority of coins are ordinary, the rare ones become legends that spark curiosity and excitement, and the 1992 P quarter stands as one of the most intriguing coins people speculate about due to the combination of potential physical errors, historical minting conditions, and the endless possibilities that attract collectors searching for hidden treasures in the most unexpected places. And as we explore these stories and dive deeper into the world of rare coins, it's always amazing to see how something so small can carry so much history, mystery, and value. And if you enjoy these deep dives into the world of rare and valuable coins and want to continue discovering incredible stories like this one, make sure you stay connected, keep collecting, and share this journey with others who love the thrill of hidden treasures waiting to be found. And don't forget to support the channel, leave your thoughts, and of course like and subscribe for more content just like this.